Peace reflections. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, because we are here for another Hollywood TV series, Unlocked and Exposed. Now, this series is where we go into old TV shows that all of a sudden just stopped airing. Is it a reason that they stopped airing? It always is, reflection. So go on ahead, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Today we're talking about Family Manners. Now, this has been a household episode in the 90s, but all of a sudden it just stopped airing. Now, before it stopped airing, we noticed that a couple of the main characters disappeared off set. Well, let's see why.
Aired, Steve Urkel was only meant to be a reoccurring character in the series. Jaleel White, the actor that played Steve Urkel, revealed on his old podcast that he was ninth on the call sheet for Family Matters, meaning that at the time the show was starting, his role was only viewed as the ninth most important. But after Family Matters pilot aired, there was no question in anyone's mind who the true star of the show was. I honestly don't think there's ever been another scenario where a reoccurring character on a sitcom has taken over the show single-handedly. A close second to Steve Urkel might be Topanga Lawrence. She was a reoccurring character originally on Boy Meets World, but she then became one of the main three characters. But even then, she wasn't the star of the show completely. It's also been noted that a lot of the adults felt threatened by Jaleel White's performance as Steve Urkel because he surpassed them so fast that they kind of gave him the cold shoulder for a while. Just imagine being threatened by a kid that's outperforming you. That is wild. Jaleel White's one of the most underappreciated actors of all time. After stealing the show, starting off as a reoccurring character, becoming one of the most iconic TV characters of all time, he then proceeds to not get typecasted the rest of his career, landing big-time roles in projects such as The Wolf of Wall Street, Big Fat Liar. He played the voice of Sonic, and most recently, he was in that Adam Sandler basketball movie, Hustle.
According to cast members, especially the mother who played in Family Manor, her and Steve Urkel didn't always see eye to eye. Let's take a listen.
In a 2021 interview, Jaleel claimed the cast wasn't supportive of his success.
He needs to get over whatever it is that's biting him. He didn't have the etiquette that maybe I and some others had, but there was one time he actually wanted to physically fight me. And we were doing an episode called Gangsta Dog.
I'm OGD, Steve's cousin from Detroit.
There was something that he wanted to do. I said, we can't do that. Standing in practice is not going to let that pass. He was so mad. He started kicking and screaming and stuff. I walked off. And then I heard him say something. And I said, Darius, what did he say? He said, she must want a melee. I said, what's a melee? A fight. I turned around. I said, you want to fight? Darius grabbed me. I was going to go in there and whip his behind. I was going to whip his behind.
You better check that attitude at the door.
Jo Marie told me she was also offended when Harriet was not written into the show's milestone 200th episode.
I said, loyalty means nothing to you. And you're going to do the 200th episode without me? I said, the truth be told, you wouldn't even have a show if it wasn't for me. I left at the middle of the 9th season.
Might there be unfinished business with Family Matters? Would you like to pick up, do a reboot, a reunion?
You know what I tell people? I never say never. The show continued without me being on it, just like Judy. In order for me to do it again, that little girl has to come down them steps. I don't care how they do it. You killed JR and brought him back. Find a way to bring her back.
Wow, now that was something, reflection. But it doesn't stop here. Speaking of the little girl that played in Family Manners, no one really talks about what happened after she left the show and why she left the show all of a sudden. Let's listen in her words to her experience after Family Manor.
Started weaning myself off of marijuana and drinking.
But the sack may have come after she was abused by one of the show's producers, and when she threatened to speak out, they chose to intimidate her. Foxworth turned to music, joining her two older sisters in the R&B trio, She. The group released just one album, 1997's Three's a Charm, and fizzled out after a lack of success. Then, at 19 and in need of money, Foxworth returned to acting in adult films. Under the name Crave, Foxworth appeared in such notable projects as Booty Talk 20 and My Baby Got Back 29. She later said on the Dr. Oz show that she also got into porn as a form of rebellion against her very strict upbringing, but that she wasn't comfortable with just seeing myself in that light. She made her last dirty movie in 2002, As it turns out, all these were ways to channel out the pain of being sexually molested as a kid and then fired while working on the sitcom Family Matters.
And I was like, if you just give me the healthiest son, I will stop today. And I stopped. And I haven't had a craving since.
While she got herself out of the woods professionally, Foxworth still had some personal demons to slay long after Family Matters had come to an end. In the 2000s, she became heavily dependent on alcohol and marijuana while also struggling with some mental health issues. It got bad for me, she said on the Dr. Oz show. So for most people, drinking and smoking weed is really not that bad. But for me, I had a little bit of depression and I was basically keeping myself to myself. She got to the point where she was just hanging out by herself in her bedroom, getting high, and almost always alone. When she realized she'd cut herself off from the world and didn't really have friends, she knew it was time to get some help. In 2008, she appeared on VH1's Celebrity Rehab with Dr. Drew, but still continued to smoke marijuana for a few months after that, quitting it for good when she learned she was pregnant. And, like we mentioned, not only Foxworth left the show and faced it rough outside here. In 2014, her close friend and castmate Darius McCrary decided to marry Tammy Bronner of the Harlem Globetrotters. By 2017, that marriage was over, and it reportedly ended in a frightening way. According to E! News, Bronner received a restraining order against Darius after alleging multiple counts of abuse against her and their infant daughter. Bronner reported that Darius's excessive drinking and drug use made him violent and that he not only struck her, but held his daughter over a pot of boiling water while screaming about how he wished she'd never been born. Another time, Bronner says, the actor flew into a rage and threw picture frames around the house, just barely missing hitting anyone. Apparently, this isn't the first time Darius was accused of domestic abuse. His previous wife, Karine Steffens, claimed he perpetuated multiple acts of violence against her. Darius was ordered to move out of the family home and stay 100 yards away from his wife and daughter. In response, Darius's attorney labeled Bronner a predator motivated by a desperate desire to extort money out of his client while trying to create an advantage in an impending divorce and custody battle. For his part, the actor posted a photo of himself and his daughter to Instagram, captioned, "Yay right. Sad some people will do anything make #TMZ. I'm starting to think Family Matters really did harbor some demonic elements." 2 weeks after a judge granted Tammy Bronner a restraining order against Darius McCrary, the actor got one against Bronner. According to TMZ, Darius claimed that Bronner had violent tendencies, alleging that she threw a hot iron at him, leaving a second-degree burn on his chest. Weeks after the courts ordered these two to avoid each other, Bronner filed for divorce. Citing irreconcilable differences in legal documents, which TMZ got a hold of, Bronner asked that Darius be blocked from seeing their daughter until he sought treatment for substance abuse and attended domestic abuse intervention sessions. And that's not the end for the Family Matters cast members.
I can even explain why Steve Urkel worked. I remember I watched Family Matters, just like you probably as a kid who got the TV Guide, and I watched anything.
Abuse allegations also dogged Darius's Family Matters co-star Jaleel White. In 2012, Bridget Hardy, White's former girlfriend and the mother of his daughter, told Star that 2 years earlier, their relationship came undone after the former Steve Urkel turned violent. After finding evidence of infidelity on the actor's phone, Hardy says White blew up after she confronted him about it and then struck her across the chest area. "It gets worse," Hardy reported. "He pushed me into the toilet and it broke." Hardy got out of the house and took her daughter with her on a planned out-of-town trip. When they returned, White had changed the locks on the house and placed all her possessions.
No one talks about how Rachel from Family Matters quietly disappeared from the show, just like Judy did. Interestingly enough, her and Judy have around the same amount of episodes. Waldo Geraldo has been on the show longer than either of them. The first 4 seasons, she was there, but then in season 5, she's completely gone. She came back in season 6 for only 7 out of 23 episodes, and then she's gone again. She's missing all the way until season 9 for a Christmas episode. What was she doing during all this time off the show? Well, in real life, Thelma Hopkins, in 1993 to 1994, was also playing a role on a show called Getting By, which started airing on ABC and then moved to NBC. But after that show ended, it seemed like Family Matters, a show produced by ABC, didn't want to write her back into the show. They was like, "No, you stay over there. You wanted to do it, so do it." And between 94 and 97, the end of Family Matters, They had only given her 8 episodes to appear on. And it's not like she was super busy during that time off. She only had 4 minor roles during that time off of Family Matters. 4 small credits that she kind of did just to kill time, it looks like. She did a voiceover role for Spider-Man, the animated series, in '96. But after the show ended in '97, she pretty much got back out there and started acting again. It almost seems like she was waiting on ABC to write her back into the show, but they never did. I don't know if ABC wrote her off because she was working for a competing studio.
Well, I hope you've hit the like and subscribe button because we're not done yet. Now, we all know about the alleged Hollywood ritual, right? The dress ritual. Well, let's hear what Steve Urkel has to say about the first time he was put in a dress and how it made him feel.
I remember when I did Myrtle Urkel for the first time.
Well, hello there.
And I just remember, again, I get a lot of my enthusiasm from other people's satisfaction. Everybody on set that week was just amazed. I did run into an issue. Joe Marie and Reggie at that time were very sensitive to putting black men in dresses. And they heaped that on me. And they let me know that I was not doing our race a service by putting on that yellow dress.